They hate when you elevate.
ATP, what it do with your boy Clay More Rain. Shout out to all my subscribers. Shout out to all the support, all the love. You know who you are. If this is your first time tapping into this content, listen, go ahead, hit the subscribe button, hit your bell icon so you all getting alerts when all this content is dropping. So, Regis Pro Grade, Jack Caterrall in the books. Recap and what's next. Well, let's start off with congratulations to both those gentlemen putting on a great fight, in my opinion. At points, I would call it a barn burner, right? As there were ups and downs in this fight. And going into this fight, we were looking to see what was going to happen with both of these gentlemen, because going into the 140-pound weight class division right now, it seems as if the 140-pound weight class division is wide open right now, right? You're looking at Teofimo Lopez, who some would argue would be the best 140-pounder in the division right now. He is a lineal champ, WBO champion in the division. And some would argue that he's the best one in the division, but his lack of activity, his lack of interest of activity in the division, leaves a lot less to be desired, right? But he's still there. He's still a champion. He would still, in my opinion, be the top dog that you want to knock down if you wanted to make an argument for yourself as the best in the division. Then, of course, we've got Devin Haney, who's a champion in recess. We have a WBC champion, Alberto Puello, who got the belt in just off the simple fact of Devin Haney taking a hiatus and going in recess, and him winning an interim WBC title when he fought Gary Antoine Russell on a PBC event early this year. Naturally just upgraded him up to a full champion. So we have him there as well. Then, of course, we have a new crowned WBA champion in Rayo Venezuela, who's tied up to go ahead and rematch Isaac Pitbull Cruz, give him his opportunity to earn his strap back. And we have an IBF champion in Liam Paro in that division. But still keeping it even Steven across the playing field, the division seems wide open, and there's opportunities in there for contenders to get themselves in some big conversations right now. And this fight was going to pretty much separate these two gentlemen, being that Regis Pro Grade coming off a dominant defeat loss against Devin Haney in his last fight that he had, where Devin Haney completely shut him out 12 rounds to zip. And Jack Caterrall coming off of a revenge tour when he finally got his opportunity to get back at Josh Taylor to revenge a loss many people think he didn't deserve. Many people thought he won, but regardless, won that fight against Josh Taylor, and coming off a good victory. And Eddie Hearn managing both these fighters as far as promotions are concerned, was looking to take one of these fighters and place him inside of a title fight on their next fight. And the other guy was going to go ahead and take a back seat. And I think even more so for Regis Pro Grade, he was going to take a back seat either out the game, or he was going to go all the way down the list. And as we get through this breakdown and figuring out what's next, we'll see that Regis kind of that all these things were spoken for, right? Spoken to, right? So listen, man, going into the fight, we wanted to see if Regis Pro Grade was going to work on his footwork, as that was one of the main things that Devin Haney was able to take advantage of in that fight. Moving Regis as he see fit, keeping Regis on the outside of that jab, Regis not being able to close that space properly, throwing a useless jab that was most of the time hitting air against Devin Haney and paying the ultimate cost. A lot of people thought Devin Haney had room to stop Regis Pro Grade in that fight, as he hurt him multiple times in that fight. And Regis looked outclassed in that fight against Devin Haney. Let's just be honest, looked like he really didn't even belong there. Even though he was the defending champion, it almost seemed unfair. It almost seemed like a cherry pick for Devin Haney to be in that fight. So he had a lot to come back from and a lot of things to improve on. And we wanted to see if he was going to be able to do that against a Jack Caterrall, who, listen, Jack Caterrall is out of the UK, right? Manchester, United Kingdom, London, or England, whatever have you. And a lot of people here in America aren't so familiar with him, but we understand what he brings to the table as far as he has a decent boxing pedigree. He has an awkward pawing jab that he likes to throw, but he throws it, but he kind of keeps it out there as a feeler, trying to set you up for that left hand. And he's not a fighter that we know to really go back as much, right? He'll stand his ground, come forward, stand his ground, defend his real estate, but not retreat And obviously for a fight like Regis Prograis, who has that powerful left hand, if he can close the space, there was opportunities in this fight that we were looking forward to see if Regis Prograis was going to be able to capitalize off those opportunities, land something devastating, upset the UK contender in his own backyard, get himself back into the conversation of getting a title fight, maybe even him avenging his loss against Devin Haney down the line, and obviously making even the bigger fights with the Teofimo Lopez's, the Liam Paros, or whoever have you is in the division. So I'll be honest with you, when the fight starts, Regis Prograis seems patient, patient, staying behind his jab, a little bit more efficient. Jack Caterrall's arms aren't as long as Devin Haney, so he was able to kind of keep it sort of mid-range, trying to, but Jack Caterrall, amazingly enough, was not really concerned about the real estate so much. He was willing to go ahead and concede the real estate to Regis Prograis, almost as if he was being cautious about the power, right? Now, I wouldn't even say almost as if he was. Clearly, he was being cautious of the power that Regis Prograis was bringing in there, and Regis Prograis taking his time, stepping in with the jab, and was doing this little two-step shuffle that would get him right inside of that mid-range and looked like he was starting to find some success in there. And Jack Caterrall really had no answers for it as he was moving around the ring. His footwork was decent, but there were opportunities in there when Regis was able to get up in there and connect with those left hands. And we were wondering at this point, I know me myself, I was wondering, I'm like, all right, well, this is looking pretty good for like the first 3 to 5 rounds. I'm seeing success in what Regis is doing. I don't see Jack Caterrall bringing anything back serious. But then as the fight started to continue going on, I want to say around the 3rd round or so is when I started to pay attention to the fact that Jack, who was for those first 3 rounds pouring with the jab and moving around the ring, wasn't really giving Regis anything to be worried about. But I noticed that Regis was leaping in, right? He was trying to cross the what they call void, right? The gap to jump into the void, and he was starting to get in there, but I saw opportunities for Jack Caterrall to capitalize with a left hand, right? The left hand looked like there was opportunities in there because Regis was leaping into these shots and Jack Caterrall wasn't responding. Now, my opinion, what it looked like happened to me is he gave Regis Prograis a little bit false confidence. As Regis Prograis became more confident about jumping into that space, around the 3rd round, I noticed Jack started letting the left hand go and ultimately did connect. Now, Regis didn't seem to get hurt, buzzed, or anything from the shot. So at that point, Regis Prograis became a little more confident, right? He said, okay, I've taken the best shot that this guy has to offer me. It hasn't really hurt me. I'm going to go ahead and step it up. Let's apply more pressure and see if we can go ahead and break some pipes, right? Let's bust some pipes. Let's apply the pressure, right? In the 5th round, Jack Caterrall lands a clean left hand and just completely sits Regis on his back pockets and laid him on his back. Intense shot, right? No, it wasn't in the 5th round. I'm sorry. It actually was in the 9th round, because in the 5th round, Regis Prograis landed somewhat of a, it looked like it was a jab straight, you know what I'm saying? You could say that kind of caught him on the shoulder. Jack Caterrall trying to swing out and pivot out, lost his balance, and his hands touched the canvas, and of course it counted as a knockdown, and the ref gave him his 10 count. And it didn't impress me that much. It didn't feel like Regis's power was what caused it. It looked more so like Jack Caterrall's feet were under him, and he had to brace himself, and he didn't even fall on the ground, right? It was a standing 8 count as far as I'm concerned. But the match continues, and what you're seeing is Regis is becoming even more confident now, right? He's becoming even more emboldened to go ahead and put that pressure on Jack Caterrall, because he's pretty much knocked Jack Caterrall down. And I don't know if he acknowledged as to whether or not it was his power that did that, or if he acknowledged that, listen, Jack was off his balance, but he seemed to be attacking Jack Caterrall as if Jack Caterrall was hurt. Was he hurt? Maybe he was, but I never thought he was hurt enough to where I thought Regis was going to go in there and finish him. Maybe Regis thought that his footwork wasn't there, that he wasn't going to be able to escape the way he was escaping the whole entire evening, and he'd be able to close that gap and connect with something. But at this point, Regis Prograis swinging at the air, letting off huge left hands. A couple of times he let off a couple of big right hands. At times losing his balance, looking like he was about to fall on the ground, exerting a lot of energy, which is going to make a difference towards the end of this fight. As we go into round 9, Jack Caterrall is beginning to land the 1 and the 2, right? And back to the 1 again, right? He's setting him up with the jab. Regis is leaping in, trying to cross the gap. He's meeting Regis Prograis with left hands, and then he's setting Regis back up to establish the distance back with that straight right hand jab that he was hitting him with. And he's doing it pretty confidently and without any real arguments from Regis Prograis. As Regis Prograis is getting more and more desperate to make something happen, as if he knows the fight is not heading his way. He's already touched the canvas at this point. He's been hit with a shot in the 9th round, and he gets laid on his pockets. So at this point, Regis is starting to fight with a little bit more urgency, a little bit more resolve, right? And it's not really helping him out, as Jack Caterrall pretty much has him right at the end of his jab and is just able to set him up to connect with these left hands. And he ultimately puts him down again in that same round, right? Puts him down again in that same round, and just pretty much carries the same game plan throughout the match. I would say for the last 3 championship rounds, you want to call them, Regis Prograis was just getting outclassed again. It starts to look like a reminder of the Devin Haney fight, just desperately trying to close the gap and hit him with big shots. A couple times just getting laid on his face, just falling on his face completely, over swinging, putting everything he has in it, trying to catch Jack Caterrall with something as if he needs the knockout. And ultimately, Jack Caterrall was able to walk away with a very easy unanimous decision. I believe it was a 117-108 on one of the judges' cards and a 116-109 on the other 2 cards. Don't quote me. I don't think it was that bad. I think Regis did win some rounds early, and obviously that knockdown should have counted for something as well as far as points was concerned. But regardless, there was no question in my mind that Jack Caterrall won the fight. Now, what's next for these guys, right? Regis Prograis basically states, listen, he's been in this game long enough. He pretty much admits all his faults, gives all the respect to Jack Caterrall, and in my opinion, pretty much gave the boxing space a notification that he was going to be moving out the boxing space for a little bit, at least for now, if not for good. And he said he's going to be entertaining things like bare knuckle boxing. I think that's an extreme jump, but look, boxers are finding some success over there with the bare knuckle boxing. You have Austin Trout over there. You've got El Perro, Angulo. I can't remember his full name right now. I can't believe I can't remember his name. Legendary fighter who did some great things in boxing. But you got boxers over there in the bare knuckle fighting that are being pretty successful, and from what I understand, getting paid pretty decently. So he pretty much gave a notice and gave everybody an understanding to look for him in bare knuckle boxing, and congratulated Jack Caterrall. Told Jack Caterrall that he felt that Jack Caterrall was actually the best fighter he fought at 140 pounds, which I thought was a stretch. Some people might say a shot being taken at Devin Haney, maybe being that Devin Haney dominated him the way he did, and he was giving Devin Haney all type of weight bully accusations and things of that nature. To give Jack Caterrall that type of accolade was a huge accolade, but at the same time, most people who are watching boxing, I don't know how much weight it held as far as an accolade, because Jack Caterrall did well against you. He beat up a Josh Taylor who probably shouldn't have been 140 pounds, was looking to go up to 147, was on his way out the door, already suffering some defeats. And really, is he the best? Is he the best 140 pounder you fought? Maybe. I don't know. But what's next for Jack Caterrall? Eddie Hearn made it clear what his intentions were to take the winner of this fight and start putting them in the conversation, some championships. We have Liam Paro and Richardson Hitchens that is scheduled to fight early in November, early in December, that they're scheduled to fight, and the IBF title will be on the line. The winner of that fight being the IBF champion. It seems logical, seems practical that we see Eddie Hearn try to put something together in-house between the winner of that fight and Jack Caterrall. Eddie did also put out there his interest in fighting Teofimo, which any champion in the division will be interested in fighting, but where Teofimo is now as far as contract negotiations or arguments with Bob Arum right now, top rank, not to mention the fact that he's chasing the bigger fights with Terrence Crawford, and he's even mentioned some guys at 147 pounds. We don't even know if Teofimo Lopez will be at 140 pounds, if he wants to defend the title or if he wants to chase down undisputed at 140. I personally think that would make more sense for him to do something like that, but since when do fighters do what we want them to do, right? So Teofimo Lopez getting the call out, but it looks like what's more practical, what's more realistic would probably be Jack Caterrall fighting the winner between Liam Paro and Richardson Hitchens in Puerto Rico early December. After that fight happens, the winner of that fight it's probably what I would point in a direction of seeing happening, and seeing Jack Caterrall get an opportunity to get some gold in the division. At the end of the day, great card. I won't go down the whole entire card. I mean, shout out to those UK fighters out there. I'm loving that Matchroom event. Was well put together. The production was well put together. There was some decent fights on that card for sure. In UK, you know, UK cultivating boxing, a boxing culture out there. That's something to watch, and we definitely enjoyed it. But that's the breakdown. That's the recap. It looks like Jack Caterrall looking to get a title shot on his next fight. Obviously, between Liam Paro, Richard Hitchinson, or Teofimo Lopez, or if, in my opinion, probably anybody who's available in the division. And it looks like Regis Prograis is going to be taking moves and moving to better pastures in the bare knuckle boxing space. And that is what it is, right? You guys let me know what you think in the comments. What you think of the fight? Where do you see Jack Caterrall going from here? How do you feel about Regis Prograis deciding to make a move into bare knuckle boxing? Is that a move of somebody who needs money or something, or is he just a dog? Regis tells everybody how he's well invested and doesn't need to ever fight again in his life. But you know, taking a move into bare knuckle boxing, a lot of cuts, a lot of injury prone up in there. I mean, if you love fighting, that's a place to go, right? A lot of fighting happening in there, and it doesn't look like it's going to be realistic for him to get any title shots here in you know, boxing right now, being the way the division is set up and the loss he just took again from Jack Caterrall. So that's what I'm hearing, right? You guys let me know what you think. It's your boy Claymore Rain. Shout out to all my subscribers again, man. Really appreciate you guys. If it's your first time tapping into the content, I'm always letting you guys know, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, hit your bell icon so you are getting alerts when this content drops, right? Check us out Monday night, tomorrow night. We'll be going live. We'll be building on a lot of stuff going on in the boxing space right now. Javante Tank Davis and Lamont Roach fight potentially being postponed, maybe even canceled. Arguments over money, arguments over the venue, all types of rumor, all types of speculations moving around in the space. And of course, Eddie Hearn and Oscar De La Hoya doing everything except for fighting in the ring at this point, going at each other, being petty, nitpicking at all each other's failures. And we'll talk about all those things, right? We'll talk about Turkey Al Sheik as well. Got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about tomorrow night. Come into the chat. Let's build. Open panels towards the end of the evening. Don, to hear what you guys are thinking about. It's your boy Rain. This is that ATP Combat Media Show. And at this point, we out.